Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello, welcome back.
I'm making sure we're recording. Okay. So, can you guess what we're going to talk about? Well, I probably labeled the video, so I guess you probably can.
Yep.
So, we have the Lion's Gate.
Yes, indeed, the Lion's Gate. And I think that's a pretty big buzz right now for so many different reasons.
Yeah, well, it provides an opportunity, and it's an opportunity astrologically to take advantage of some certain energies that are incoming. It's kind of a chance in some ways at a rebirth, energetic rebirth.
And how many of us couldn't use that these days?
Most definitely. I can't tell you how many people we have reaching out to us saying things like, I just am at wit's end. On the ledge, I'm on the precipice, I'm on the cliff, I don't know what to do. It's just all day long, people are reaching out and they're just so frustrated by the world right now. Everything that they're seeing, it's just exasperation, frustration beyond belief, and just not knowing what to do, and even some despair and feeling like, there's maybe is hopelessness out there.
I know, and I feel really, really bad for them because I've been, in those places too, like where, oh, I've done everything I can think of. I've done this, I've done that, and I'm being good, I'm following the rules, and just darn it, life is not moving into alignment and I'm going crazy.
So we wanted to share with you because we did a channeling, and what came through was all about Lionsgate, surprisingly. And we never know what they're going to bring up or who's going to bring up. We have many guides. I've accrued so many guides over the years from energy work. The more you work and help others, the more you're in service to others, the more guides you draw in. When I met you and you said, wow, you got a lot of guides. I mean, what there was like 30 something.
It was like 30 something.
Yeah,
there was definitely that.
30 something guides helping me.
Moving in and out as you work with people, and even as you do your videos, they step forward and they step back. They step forward, they step back. And this is how our guides work with us daily.
Yeah, and some of them are ancestral. Like, for instance, I have a guide that is a doctor on my mother's side of the family, and many, many, generations removed, goes back to the middle of the 1800s. But he was a doctor. And so I have another guide that goes back even farther. He's my primary energy guide, and he's actually Chinese. And so I have many guides, and that nobody would know, And then there's guides that will come and work with you that people will know. So, there's guides like Yeshua, for instance, that's been with me for many years doing energy work in very serious cases. And I remember the first time I could feel him putting his hands on my shoulders, and the energy that was going through me increased like more than tenfold. It was incredible. And the person I was working on, just their eyes opened wide in disbelief, and they were having a vision. And they basically saw their parents that had passed decades and decades ago. And it was incredible. And she actually went to the owner of the clinic I was working in and says, "He for real? I had this like crazy vision." And she was nervous. She wasn't sure she wanted to have another session. But that's the type of thing. When you're in service to others, you'll draw in helpers. If you're in selfless service, you'll draw in a bunch. And it's all about helping others throughout this time to lift themselves up in every way possible.
Sometimes we get stuck in a rut, and you're really only good to others as far as you can be good to yourself and put yourself in a better position. So there's different things that can be done about that, and this is one of the things I wasn't aware of about this energy. Is it could actually, if you're in a rut, you do want to be service to others, but you're in a rut, and depending on how broken you are, what issues you have, how much are you really helping other people. Sometimes we need to piece ourselves back together before we reach out. Extremely important.
Absolutely. As we had gone through some trying times, and then when we got into the house, the guides told us, we want you to take 2 complete weeks off, or so, like half the month off, and not do anything. And of course, I just can't do that. It's just not in my nature to do that. But we did scale back on purpose because we needed to work on ourselves, and it's been well worth it. Because we're getting stronger again, and healthier and more vibrant, and we're finding the channeling is coming easier and easier and clearer, and our own abilities are going up, and everybody's should be, as long as you avoid, again, certain things. And that's why there is the big push out there to have certain things done, because that will take away the gifts that are coming naturally at this time. The restoration of our, just the things that really should be with us all the time. These so-called extrasensory perception, for instance, paranormal gifts, things, again, like telepathy and just being able to read each other's minds. It's pretty wild, because we've had those experiences. And I actually audibly heard a voice that Cindy heard in her mind at the same time yesterday. We both heard it clear as day. So, these things are increasing. They would keep increasing. But of course, there's definitely the war on consciousness going on. And, we had talked about all the fluoridated water, even in, water that you might be spending like $3 a bottle for, like Fijian water, and you think it's great. It's loaded with fluoride to calcify your pineal gland. There's a reason. But the Lion's Gate's an opportunity. And so we talked to, and we put it out there for any of the guides that wanted to come through, and 3 came to the forefront: Yeshua, Isis, and White Buffalo Calf Woman came forward. Now, White Buffalo Calf Woman's been with Cindy for quite a while and been one of her primary guides. So, our guides all work together. So this is what we got. I'm going to play it for you now.
I do have a connection.
Who do we have with us today?
We have several different entities wanting to speak through the channel today. We have White Buffalo Calf Woman. We have Asset. We have Yeshua. There are many others that are here today that want to talk about the importance of the incoming energies over the next short period of time.
Are they speaking as a unit, as a collective, or do they want to go one at a time?
They feel it's easiest on the channel if they speak as a collective. Transmission may be slightly difficult for the channel, but it's easiest for her.
Please go ahead, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
There's a window of time on your planet in the upcoming days. Many people may relate it to the Lion's Gate portal, but it is a yearly energy that comes to your planet to help benefit you and your race this energy is not, we cannot put a specific date in your understanding, as there is no time here. We look out and we can see the alignment. We cannot match this with a date, so we want to have you understand that this is a window of time coming very soon for you to put yourself back into alignment, to realign to your higher self. This is a time when you can truly start fresh on this planet, but you must take very good care of your temple bodies, as your bodies are also constructed to take advantage of all of these planetary alignments. We ask that you eat well, sleep well, bathe, be happy, keep yourself in a high state vibrationally over the next, we will call 10 days. But we want you to hold this energy for as long as possible for the alignment to take full advantage of your human body, for your human experience. This is something that you were gifted with when you came to Earth for your mission, is a yearly renewal of energies. Please do with this energy what you will, but keep in mind, you came here for a mission. We do hope you will take full advantage of your human experience to live your mission, whatever that may be. Some of you came to simply learn about love. Some of you came to help change the system. Whatever your mission, this is a time of renewal. We need to stop the channel.
Thank you for that message. Namaste.
Namaste.
So that was what we got. And it's all about renewal. In some ways, it makes me think of, a New Year's Day, so to speak, here in the middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm. I was kind of thinking that too. I'm like, yay, Happy New Year, sort
Right?
of, but in a different time.
We've gotten a lot of other things, like things that I don't think we've been able to explain completely, and that are very complicated, and we're still grasping ourselves in many ways. Reality, consciousness itself, it's way more complex than we might think. You might think that, you're just this body, you're just whatever, Jane Smith, John Jones, whatever it is. That's it. I am a salesman. I am a manager. I am a housewife, whatever it is. You're that, yeah, but you're so much more. And I keep saying that we're so much more. For one, there may be other selves of you having concurrent lives right now in other places. And that alone might boggle the mind.
Well, it would, I mean, how could that be? Because as I'm sitting here right now with you, as far as I know, I'm the only me out there.
Oh, but I've experienced many other yous.
Okay, you got me.
Yes. Yes. And some from past lives have come through. Cindy's unique. Extremely unique. And we've gotten that she's one of only like a handful literally on the planet right now that has the abilities to do what she does. Well, how is she so unique, and how is it that we are together? Well, we're together because it's been manipulated from above to be together. It's basically, when you think about it, look to some of the Greek mythologies and how the quote unquote gods or devas or whatever you want to call these beings, higher dimensional beings, maybe fifth, sixth density beings, manipulate things, and just happen to, have people take the wrong path that leads somewhere. They meet somebody, and then their life is changed. Everything is changed. They go off on this great mission and accomplish some important purpose. So, the being that is Cindy here next to me is a being that out of the body in her natural state could achieve like fifth through seventh density. So wouldn't be one to brag about it or to even think. She's so selfless. She doesn't think much of herself at all, honestly. She's always putting herself down. And I'm always saying, my God, you're amazing. You're a gift. And she doesn't have that. She has no ego, which is beautiful, really, in some ways. Though we do need a little ego for self-preservation.
You're like the sweetest man on the planet.
But this is what we have gotten from these beings, as well as like a knowing from inside. I've always had certain visions. I've always known certain things. And I've also gotten confirmation from other psychics, many different, that I've known over the years, people I've worked with or worked on, or have basically friends say, come, you got to meet this person. They're amazing. I remember being at a convention and a friend of mine said, oh, you got to go meet this one psychic. She's absolutely amazing. This lady from the West Coast. And this is when I was in Ohio. And as soon as I got introduced to her, she looked right past me and she said, my God, you keep big company. And she was talking about two of the guides that were with me that she could see right up. And she said, you must have an important mission, because she could see them clear as day. And one of my other regulars used to always say, the big guy is with you. And, and I'd say, who is it? She said, well, it's actually you. But I don't know how to describe it any better. So one way we could describe it is when you look at the tree of life, for instance, as above, so below, you see that root system, you see the branches that come off. You could say that each branch is a particular lineage. Lineage. So what do we mean by lineage? Well, let's just go out there with what we know as far as, looking at some different extraterrestrial races. We have the Pleiadians. Many people are familiar with Pleiadians. Arcturians. And we see them on a regular basis. Although they don't really communicate so much with us, they really just help us.
Oh, yeah.
They are the ones that give us upgrades all the time.
They're master energy workers. They're totally amazing and awesome.
These are very high density beings too. And this is where I think, disagree with some out there. Some people had said to us before, check out Mateus de Stefano, who's on Gaia. And so we did. We don't like to check out other people that are quote unquote channeling, as well as we just don't like to follow a lot of stuff. We for one, we get probably 200 videos a day recommended. There's not enough time to watch 200 videos a day. with all that we have going on. Plus, we don't like to be influenced. We like to go more and more. We like to go purely by what we are getting from the guides. And at some point, you guys will too. As you build your connections, you won't even need to go to other sources. I think there'll always be what we would call elders, so to speak. Um, and people that have a little bit more shamanistic capability than some others, a little more gifted, but not have that need to constantly be going to others and then processing everything with the left brain. And I see that all the time. So our brother Keith Henry had said, and he's been around for a long time, I know, following the channel. It's like, where do you get your stuff? Where does all this come to you from? Where do you get your ideas? Well, we get it from them. Mm-hmm. In direct conversation, because we do have direct conversation on a daily basis. It's just part of who we are and what we do. And before I had Cindy to be this channel, I would just basically, lie down or go into meditation, and then I would get pictures and knowing. I'd hear or see things. But with Cindy, I'm very spoiled. And so here we have Lyrians as well. This is another race. Each one of these we could view as a branch off the tree or a different root, the main root system, of which it branches off again and again and again. Syrians, although they might look a little bit different, they're a little bit more towards the light body side and all, but yes, they've accentuated the brains and the head, and they are kind of towards the large side as far as that goes. Reptilians, which we know of, Anunnaki as well. Altarian. There's so many different branches. And so when we were having a conversation with Isis, Aset, it was interesting because, I basically asked about being able to visit and to perhaps even merge with the collective that she is part of. And she's part of a collective of many hundreds. And it was interesting because her answer was, there is part of your lineage, part of you. Well, first she basically said, yes, part of you could do that if you chose to, when the job here was done. But that's interesting because that's just a part of me. Mm-hmm. And so that gets you thinking, how could a part of me? But then think about us and think about the bodies, right? So you and your spouse have kids. They're a part of each of you, yet they're unique. So from the physical sense, I think we could see that, the sperm and the egg merge, and then you have basically the egg goes, you have one cell dividing into two, and it keeps on going on, cellular mitosis. And eventually you have a new being, and eventually maybe that being ends up having kids, and then it divides again. It's like that also on the spiritual side of things, on the consciousness side of things. And that could be kind of hard to conceive of in some ways. So I've brought this up before to try to give an idea. So you see, you have on the top there the source or essence self. You can say that that's kind of like your soul. And you can see the different lives it had. A courtesan back in 1255, a Catholic prelate back in 1060, professor 1838, a musician and a beggar at one life in 816, a baker back in 21 AD, a goldsmith, a rabbi, all these different lives that it has. And it could actually even have concurrent lives.
Mm-hmm. Which is really, really cool. It can be staggered lives, which is really mind-boggling. But it can, so a lot of times we might be sitting here frustrated at our lives, frustrated at the way things are going or not going. And, perhaps try calling in your other selves for help. That's just a thought, something to try. We never know who can come and help. But one thing we have to do is we have to ask.
See, the concept is in our modern traditions, we always think about worship, worship, worship. And instead of using that word, maybe we should be talking more about communion. And many different cultures around the world, you would hear people say, well, they were either animists or they worshiped their ancestors. Well, they gave thanks to their ancestors and they still communed with their ancestors, because each one of these lives that you see out here is unique. The source self, the true self, the soul, takes the experiences of all these and moves on. But just think about it. If you could go back and you needed to call on certain skills, maybe, the baker, his skills, the goldsmith skills, maybe that professor, was really into molecular biology. Can you imagine if you could draw on everything and remember everything that they had learned in their life and utilize it in your life moving forward? So when we look over here, you see these different source selves having all these lives, learning from them, growing from them, and they're part of an oversoul or the higher self. And so, this is the higher self, of which that higher self might have countless lives. So that higher self might have 4 different essence selves that they're showing here. And maybe there's 8 concurrent lives going on that it's learning from. So we could get the impression when we look at this, what's the purpose of life? Exploration, learning, fun.
Yep.
It's about all of the above.
It is. It's about a whole lot of exploration and learning and experience and, enjoying what comes to us, finding the gratitude in everything.
So there is a source. And then we see the archangels are very close to source. And they're also governing the manifest world, so to speak. And, the archangel is very close to source. And I still like the Tao when it comes to describing source, because it's that which is unknowable. It's beyond comprehension as far as in this limited framework of being in this body and with this brain. But even when we get to our conversations that we've had with the angelic realm, they're still kind of in awe and don't understand everything. Even at this level, even the archangels still don't understand everything.
Oh, right. There's always learning to do. That's one thing when you decide to have your experience apart from source, you're on a journey. You're on a journey.
This is a journey, and it's a journey that is one that should be enjoyable. What has happened in our particular realm is it's been kind of hijacked. And thankfully, we're moving into a zone. We're deeper and deeper into the photon belt, and they're not going to be able to hang on. So we'll be free to have the experiences we originally intended to have. Although there are some that came in here just for this challenge, just for this challenge alone. And so, when Keith brings up that question, it's a matter of learning, because, Krishna says to Arjuna on the night before a huge battle, and Arjuna is going to lead an army into battle. And he says, the difference between you and me is that I remember my past lives. And again, Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. And we were discussing this because we were talking about Shiva, which Shiva is that which is not yet, that which is not. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's the consciousness that exists before manifestation. So Shiva is that which is not yet. Potential, just potential. And it's through the divine feminine that things become manifest. And in some, not all, some Gnostic philosophy, the whole thought of the manifest universe is that it's evil. Why? Well, because all they knew was this system, a system controlled by the Draco and by the Anunnaki and these other dark entities. not the way it should have been. They're thinking about things that were happening in their lives and also things that are happening even today. Not the way it was originally intended, not the way it is when we're anywhere but in the Kali Yuga. And so as we come out of the Kali Yuga and we're heading into the Bronze Age, then the Silver, then the Golden Age, and the Golden Age thankfully lasts many times longer than the Dark Age. Uh, it's just a different world, and it's not a curse. And the material world is not cursed. It's not a mistake either. It's a learning place that Source has set up, and even the challenges that we face are part of that learning.
They are. They're definitely part of the learning. And I know sometimes it's very difficult to sit there and find the lesson and the gratitude, but there's always a lesson. And finding the gratitude and thanking any and all entities for teaching you said lesson, having that gratitude and just hanging on to it is really, really helpful and useful to get you out of ruts. Even just sit down if you're in a real serious rut, sit down and you write yourself a gratitude list, 10 things, 10 things. And read that over and over and over. Start calling in that vibration of gratitude to your soul.
It's very important. And when you talk about Krishna, it's all just love and playfulness and happiness. And when Yeshua made the statement, I and the Father are one, he's making the same statement that basically Krishna made. When Krishna says, I remember all my past incarnations because I know who I am. And Krishna was thought to be an incarnation of Vishnu. It's basically the same statement that Yeshua is making when he says, I and the Father are one. I know who I am. And I'm Source, basically out exploring creation. It's that simple. And again, he said, greater things you would do. So, again, there was a comment from Daryl made a comment and said, are you sure you're following Yeshua? Yeah, we follow Yeshua. We don't follow any church. We don't follow any particular dogma. We don't follow what man has said. We follow exactly what Yeshua has said. And we don't trust that the Bible is authentic when, for instance, for one thing, they never wrote the vowels down. So it had to be translated. It had to be interpreted by the scribes themselves. And for two, why are you going to trust something that has been translated so many different times, so many different ways, when you could just go directly to the source yourself? Yogananda did that when he wrote the book, The Second Coming of Christ, because it's all about Christ consciousness. It's not about him coming to vanquish all the evil in the world in the sense that he's going to lead an army of angels and throw down the world. That's a misinterpretation. That's not the case. We've basically been able to connect, and that type of thing, I guess, I don't know if I would say it irritates him, but I know he's not happy with it. He wants us to be empowered.
Right. Yes, he wants us to understand that we are equals. He is us, we are him. It's very important that to him that he gets that across to people, is that we are one. We're all one, and he just wants to come here and teach whatever people are willing to learn and know that we can all do these miraculous things.
We can, and all these things, like I brought up so many times, and there's always new people coming in. The divinity of Yeshua was debated on in the early church because they didn't agree. Some people thought he was just a teacher. Other people thought, he was the Son of God, but they didn't know exactly how to define what that meant. Others thought he was God. There was all different thoughts, and not everybody was in agreement. And still, not everybody is in agreement. If you were brought up going to a particular church, you're going to be brought up one particular way.
Mhm.
And, you're going to think that that's the way it is, but you're not going to even be aware that people were not in agreement even when he was walking the earth.
Mhm.
But again, find out for yourself.
Right.
Learn how to meditate. Go deep into meditation. Reach out to him. You could do it in the numerous ways. You could just, simply say his name and shalom, shalom. Yeshua, shalom, shalom. Peace, peace. Adonai is Lord. Adonai, Yeshua, shalom, shalom. Whatever feels good to you, but just find a mantra if you want to connect to him and use it. And so every single day, pretty much, there's almost never a day that goes by that I don't connect to every one of these that I've been talking to you about. Yeshua, Isis, and many others. I do mantras too every single day to strengthen that connection.
And, if you're just not sure how to go about it, sit down, and when you are getting ready for your meditation, you want to call in Yeshua or any other being, ask them, how do you want me to call you? And, let something come. It'll come.
So thank you guys for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Thank you also for your support with Medicinal Foods. Go check it out. There's a link at the top of every video. Lots of good stuff to help your health, your body's temple. And make sure you are subscribed and try to share, because it's all about reaching as many people as possible so that we can shift the paradigm.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line. God bless, guys. Namaste.
Namaste.